Hello and welcome to today's thought for the week. I'm carrying on having a look at 1 Corinthians as we have been in the thoughts of the day, and come to the final part that we're going to look at today, and that's 1 Corinthians chapter 13 verse 7 that says, love always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. And we've been looking at 1 Corinthians because we've been thinking about how if we want to become more like Christ, and Christ is love, then we want to become more loving. And we've been using that passage from 1 Corinthians to help us to think about what it means to be more loving. And we've had some descriptions of what love is, and we've had some as well about what love is not. And in the verse that we're looking at today, we get the repetition of that word always 4 times. So we know what love always is. And so we've seen in Corinthians the description of what Christian love should look like, and the underlining message appears to be that love sets itself aside for the good of others. Those that love as Christ does set themselves aside to meet the needs of others, and that's a really hard challenge, and one that I know that I often fall short on. So in the next verse, Paul sets out how unlimited God's love is. In the NIV translation, the first part of the verse is translated as love always protects. In other translations, it's read as love bears all things. So we see that love doesn't put a limit on how far it will go. One phrase I read was, love isn't limited by what is reasonable. Instead, love watches out for others and withstands difficulties. We then read that love always trusts. Love trusts God's word to be true and believes the teaching of the gospel. And that shapes how we live, both in our response to the truth of his teaching, but also in response to the message that Christ Jesus has died for us. So we can trust God, we can trust him, and we can trust his word to be true. And that in turn teaches us how to live in a really loving way. We then come to love always hopes. Love wants good to win, and it roots for others. As Christians, we know the word hope means more than just a wish for something. You know, I hope that it's not going to rain, or I hope that I can get that from the shops. Christian hope is so much more than that. It's the confidence that God will do as he says, and we know that we can trust in that as we look towards the future. Finally, we read love always perseveres. Love does not quit or give up. Love is not looking for a way out when things start to become difficult. During good times and bad times, God's love is steadfast, and we too are called to endure life's challenges and remain steadfast in our love of God and our love of others. So I hope that as we've looked at 1 Corinthians, that's helped us to unpack some of those ways that we can live more like Christ in our day-to-day lives in response to the gospel message that Jesus, who ultimately is love, has shown his love for us by taking on the punishment that we deserve on the cross. And I'm going to link a song to this video that hopefully helps us to reflect on that message of the gospel even further. Take care, everybody.